John writes in this book, Revelations 21 and 9, he's writing at a time from the Greek mythology of that God is getting ready to take this world into a new place. There's a new vision. The old has been done away with, and now he's given John the vision of the new. This is the chapter before the last chapter of the book of Revelation. So he's telling us with this book of Revelation that here we are, right before I start setting the new presidents. This is what I got to do. There are some things that God say that just wasn't good enough. One thing that's not good enough in the Bible that people don't preach a lot is there are two deaths for people that are going to hell. People that are going to heaven die once. He said, those who have sinned in an unbelievable way that took people away from my cross, it's only befitting that they die twice. He says it right here in the text at the end of it right here. Let me read it again. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, and the sexual immoral, those who practice magic arts, those idolaters and all liars, they will be consigned, which is allocated or assigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. And this is the what? Second death. I didn't make this up. God wrote this through John. I didn't make this up. Those people that are not Christians, that are not living Christ-like, you will die a second death. Those who are watching by television this morning, who said at home it could have been at church, there's a possibility that your lackadaisicalness and your lethargicness might cause you to be in a place of suffering. It ain't me. I'm repeating what he's saying this morning, Deacon Dixon, and people don't like the truth. That's what I ponder why people go to church and you don't like the truth, because the truth should set us free. And the reason people want to go to church should be for two reasons: to make sure I'm getting what I need and making sure I understand where I'm going. I need to understand where I'm going so I can get what I need to make sure I get there. One place I do not want to be, I don't want to die twice. He says right here, Andy, in the text, though, he said that those people would die a what? Second death. Interesting here that the punishment was not good enough for them to die once, but because they kept people from going to the cross, they're consigned to a second death. Like mama whoop you when you get home, and that wasn't enough. Now daddy gonna whoop you again. Oh, yeah. I remember those days. It wasn't daddy for us. It was always granddaddy in our house. A coward dies many times before they actually die. They die many times before they actually have a death. That's a coward. Somebody who died many times before they have a death. The difference between a hero and a coward is one side step away. People who are not cowards, who live by courage, they keep forging forward. People who are cowards, coach, they step to the side. Ain't nothing like having somebody who's supposed to go into battle with you and they sidestep you. And when you need them the most in the line of battle, they're nowhere to be found. Then they appear again at the end of the battle when you all beat up and have the nerve and the audacity to tell you, I love you. They don't love you. People don't want to fight with you. They don't want to fight for you no more. They just want to receive from you. If people can receive from you, they're okay. A coward only threatens when it's safe. They never threaten when there's opposition. These are the people who are afraid to go out here and say, I'm stepping up. These are people who are afraid to enhance their vision. These are people who don't call those things that be not as though they were. These are people right here who are afraid to say, I deserve this. It might not look like it on paper, but I have been to hell and back 3 times. I am well equipped now for this position. We don't say that because we are cowards. And one of the biggest things we're cowards about outside of Jesus Christ and the cross is being true to thyself. We're not true to ourselves. We want to be true to other people. We want to care about what other people think about us. And most times that's a dud. That's something that has no character or no substance in it, because most people just want to have fun. And it's not fun a lot of times in this world. It's challenging, and God has designed it for us to be challenged on a regular basis. And one of the challenges is, don't be a coward. Be courageous. Yes, I got fired. So what? Whoop-de-doo. The thing is, my perception is God got better. God got something better for me. He moved me when I wouldn't move myself. And I thank God if he had not ever fired me, allowed me to leave this job, I wouldn't have never rose to where God want me to be. If I didn't ever tell that man to get out my bed, you ain't coming back in my bed till you put a ringy on my finger, then I would have never met my true husband. But we are so afraid because we become so complacent and content in the now. We love the now because we don't really have to move. So few people think futuristically. It's hard for somebody who has forward thinking to talk to somebody who's stagnated. It doesn't work. You get people who've been in jobs 20 years and they still singing the same song 20 years later. Their lyrics hasn't changed. Now you say, well, let's change the beat to this song, and they don't want to do that. You have to leave those people alone. They are dangerous because they are people who will keep you in a place of suffer, a place of struggle, a place where my feet aren't moving. I'm in the mud. Amazing, this thing about courage. We have so many people that are cowards. I mean, look at our military. Look at our this patriotic country we live in right now. How strong are we showing ourselves to be? We bully the people we can, and now we try to side with the people that we know will fight us. That's what's happening in our government right now. We got a president and a vice president that is trying to side with somebody that they know that's not afraid of them, and then trying to bully the other people. They're trying to bully Ukraine. And now Europe and all these other people in the UN trying to get in and say, well, you can't do that. But we don't care. We figure if we get Russia, we can get China. We get China, then we'll get North Korea. Then the more evil people will run the world. And we got all these people in Congress and all these people in the House who refuse to say anything. And I'm pondering, Ms. Hampton, how do these men sit at the head of their table at home with their wife and their kids and look around and say, your dad's doing what's best for the country, or your daddy is afraid of this man who in this seat? Sad to say, but it seems like it's only women who've been standing up to him. It's only women who've been standing up, and I'll see you in court. You can fire me, I don't care. But these men, it's amazing how these men are sitting out here and they're cowards getting these big salaries. And they sit in positions where they're allowing these men to cut the jobs and the lives and the lifespan and expectancy of other people. Won't say a word. And those who say a word, they're ostracized. Cowards. We voted cowards into a position now that we will suffer from. And most people don't want to acknowledge that. They're praying now. This is what gets me, Mother Ann. They're praying now that what he did resolutes into some type of positive conclusion. And that's not going to work. Some reasons people are cowards. They want to live a life with little difficulty. You can't be great if you don't like conflict. That it just doesn't work. You cannot be great if you don't like conflict, if you don't like erosion, if you don't like the day we, back and forth. You can't have a lot of friends and be successful. Because at some point you're going to step on somebody's toes. Some point you're going to say something where it ain't been like that. Well, it's fitting to be like that now. That's why he sent me. Jesus is a prime example, coach, as to why the world is the way it is. It gave us a chance because one man came that wasn't afraid. He had courage and he wasn't a coward. When those ragtag dolls and all those things came at him, he still stood. He stood like a man by himself when the disciples was asleep, when he asked them to pray with him in the Garden of Gethsemane, right before it was time for him to start the process of him being executed, crucified. They were asleep. And when they came to look for Jesus, who is this Jesus? They didn't even know him. He could have cowardly walked out and said, he's over there. But what did he do? By himself, he went up to them. Who is it that you look for? How we look for this Jesus of Nazareth? It is I. Sometimes in life, you got to walk alone. Even when people are close to you, you got to walk alone. Even when people say, I love you, you got to walk alone. When people start down you, you got to walk alone. Jesus walked alone. He showed the difference in being a coward and having courage. He walked right up to those people and say, it is I. Now Peter and everybody want to fight. Now they get to fighting, and he tell Peter, put your sword away, for you live by it, you will die by it. And he went with those people with pride, with his head held high, because that's what people with courage do. We don't act and let things hang out on the back end. What you see on the front of me, when you look with my back, when I pass you, you're going to see the same substance, the same integrity, the same ingredients in the back that's in the front. Ain't nothing changing with me. Why? Because I'm not a coward. What you see is what you get. The worst thing you can do to me actually is the best thing you can do to me, which is kill me. Jesus, I need some more. Coach, we need more Bible readers in here. I wish there were more of us in here. But the best and the worst thing you can do to me is to kill me. I think it was Paul said, I'm a base at a bars. When I die, I'm going to heaven to be with my Father. As long as I'm here living, I'm doing his will. I can't lose. You got to have the same mentality, the same mindset. I am not a quitter. I am not a loser. I am not a coward. No, I am more than a conqueror to the pulling down of strongholds in my life. Don't you ever try to doubt me. Don't let the cover fool you. Yeah, we look at a lot of people sometime and we minorly misassess them. And you think you got somebody who was a coward that was a lion. And then you look, because they were quiet. They have learned to work in silence, and they're just working on there. And then you mess around and bark up that tree on the wrong day. And it seems like everything breaks loose. And now they're running down the hall trying to seek help. And other people don't want to get in that. They don't want that fire either. No, as they say on the street now, I don't want that smoke. No, we don't want that smoke. It's interesting how we look at this thing. Some people just want to live with little difficulty, yet they pray for the world. I want all this, but I want to give so little. The Bible tells us that to whom much is given, much is required. I was telling men at this man breakfast yesterday, you cannot be successful at some point without sacrifice. You have to sacrifice to be successful. And a lot of men don't want to sacrifice, but they want the world. A lot of women don't want to sacrifice. That's how sugar daddies became so popular. Oh, yeah. Don't be, the sugar daddy. Sister Barry, they know what I'm talking about up here, the sugar daddy. You started looking at this man and looking at the value who he could bring to your life without you having to work. They married a man because of something he can give them, never looking at saying he'll be a good match that I can give him. So marriages are like this all the time, Deacon Dixon, because one person trying to outget the other instead of out trying to give. Cowards. Cowards are afraid of standing up for what's right because of possible circumstances. I don't want to do this because I could get in trouble. I could get fired, or I could become disliked. But the things that we probably need most of the times are the things that are unpopular. We need somebody who will take charge. We need somebody who will tell you the truth. Why you have friends that, when you have friends that are always siding with you, they're not your friends. They're your frenemies. At some point, they will become your enemies. You need somebody with you who will stand up and say, that's wrong, sister. You my girl now, but nah, you wrong. You shouldn't have did that. You need to go back and apologize to him. You need to go back and apologize to your kids. You don't cuss all the kids out, and now you got them on punishment. You shouldn't do both. You're going to cuss them out. Is that not punishment enough? Or just put them on punishment, or just talk to them. But that's wrong. We don't do that. You know, we're saying you should have did it longer, and you should have did it more. But how do you feel when people come and chastise you? See, that's a coward. You love to see people chastised, but you don't want to receive it. That's a coward. I'm telling you, they try to stay under the radar. These cowards try to always stay under the radar. They're just like Satan. When Jesus was on the whipping post in the cross, he was on the whipping pole and he was taking those 39 lashes. They say Satan was leaking. He was lurking around the people, trying to make sure he can keep eye contact with Jesus. He was lurking, never worried about the people. Satan was worried about Jesus, because he would say, if I can get him to shift from being courageous to being a coward, then all of them are for naught. See, Satan keeps the main thing the main thing. He said, if I can get Jesus to surrender, to wave the flag, then all these people are for naught. God hates a coward. He hates a coward. And I know this isn't a popular message, but it's a message we need today to reassess ourselves and ask, where am I in Christianity? And yes, you do great with paying your tithes. And yes, you're great with your attendance. And yes, you love people, but are you a coward? Are you being stretched like Jesus has preordained or predesigned you to stretch? When are you going to go into a new pool of water? Get out that lake. You're in a lake, and the only thing in a lake you can do is just stay in that same lake. Put me in a river, because I know a river runs to other streams of water. You know, if you can't put me in the sea, at least put me in a river, and I know eventually I'll make it to a bigger body of water. But we like the lake because the water is calm, and there's not a lot of big predators in a lake. You get to the ocean, the bigger the predator. But the same thing holds true in life. The greater the anointing, the greater the demon. The greater the position on the job, the greater the expectation. It's just a simple formula that goes with greatness. It's a simple formula that goes with courage. I hate being a coward. I don't even like to be around. I would much rather be around somebody that tried and failed versus somebody that didn't try at all. Ain't nothing like coaching a player, Kali, and you coaching him harder than he trying. Coaches, that's not frustrating. Or you coaching, you got coaches under you, coach, and they're not coaching near as hard as you. They're not putting the hours in you putting in, and then they complain about the result. No, so much is given, much is required. I need this. The last thing about this is that they have the lack of faith. More courage. They lack no integrity. These people who are cowards. Peter comes right back after Jesus has been taken in to custody, saying he loved him and just told him before he got caught, I'll never leave your side. He tells him that right before he gets caught, a couple of days before. Oh, you'll never have to worry about me, Father. Jesus, I'm right here with you. And he comes right back, and when Jesus is caught, when people start identifying who he is, they're telling the truth. But out of fear, he becomes a coward. He denies who he really is. I don't know him. That lady said, yes, you do. You be with him. I don't know him, woman. That's what the Bible say. He call a woman. He does this 3 times, and on the 3rd time, the cock crows. Reminds him of 2 things. Jesus told him this would happen, and it reminds him that you're not what you think you are. You're a coward. All of us have some growing to do. We all have growing to do. Coward is simply an unbelief. Cowardice is the opposite of courage. It's where fear and self-concern override doing what's right and good. That's what a coward is. A coward is when fear and self-concern overrides doing what's right and what's good. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew what was right, but you didn't do it because of the circumstances or the environment you were in? We call it peer pressure. You call it peer pressure where you are. Yeah, peer pressure calls me to drink, or peer pressure calls me to smoke, or peer pressure calls me to do this, to act like this. And then you act like this, and you know that how you're acting is totally against how God wants us to light. He wants our light to shine. And now we're looking and saying, why people don't believe I'm a Christian? Because your coward is lit up. People will actually test you. They know you're saying you don't drink no more. I'm trying to be safe. First thing they do, you want to smoke one? No, that's your friend now. You want to drink? You want something to drink, bro? Don't worry about it. I got you. It's on me. Let me tell you how I know this is true, coach. Because I used to do it. I had parties like nobody could party. Me and my wife had parties because every time you came to the party, you never had to bring nothing, which means you're going to bring more people. Because people love freeness. We love all freeness except salvation. But they love freeness. So everybody, Michelle, come to the house and we have all the liquor and beer. She used to do the best margaritas. She'd do those margaritas, man. I mean, have women lined up for those margaritas. And everybody who was there would all say the same thing. We're all going to church tomorrow. I would lead the pack, Miss Hampton, because I was an elder in the church. I was an elder in the church getting it. Yes. So when I preach straight from conviction. So the Barry, I'll be up there on Saturday. We having communion at the crib. Then Sunday, I'm going on to the church. And I'm playing church. Because I had been in it so long, I knew the environment. I had become accustomed to the culture. And it showed. And then when God called me to preach, he had called me a long time ago, probably while I was doing what I was doing, I wanted to run from preaching. I was a coward because I never wanted to do something that I couldn't turn back from. I knew once I totally gave in to Christ to do this job here, I could never leave it. And that right there was hard for me as a man to shake because my flesh had gravitated to so much of my attention that my spirit man was still there, but he was so minimized. He didn't have near the strength my flesh had. I'm preaching to somebody. To where your flesh supersedes your spirit, and now your dark becomes your life. And your light is very dim. And so you make the decisions that a coward makes, which is knowing the right thing, but doing something that's more comfortable. I know I should be saving more money than what I'm spending, but yet I spend it, and then I tell myself, I'll make it up. How many been there? I'll make it up. You count 2 checks down the road yet. You ain't even lived that long. When I get the 2 checks from now, and I'm going to pay it back. It happens this way because we become cowards. And it's sad that we become cowards in this way. A coward is a person who lacks the courage to do or endure dangerous or unpleasing things. We hate doing unpleasing things. In Revelation 21:7, it says, he who overcomes shall inherit all things. Y'all hear what he said? Now John writes this right before what God reads in verse 8. He tells us and encourages us that he who overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. Now, he says this in 21:7 verse in Revelation 21:7. He says, he who overcomes, which means at some point in my life, if I'm going to be a true devout Christian, there are some hills I must climb. There are some hurdles I must leap over. And there are some valleys I got to go through. There are some tough times in my life that's going to appear to me that I can't go around. Some things I just cannot forget. He says it right here, but if I overcome these things, he said, I shall inherit all things. Man, what a great way to deal. If I overcome these, I shall inherit. So if I get over this, I win. If I get over this, not only do I build more courage in myself, but I win. I draw closer to God. And anytime I draw closer to God, I win. No matter what it looks like. He says in Proverbs 28:1, the wicked flee with no one pursuing. That's coward. Some people run when ain't nobody even chasing them. That's what he says right here in Proverbs. Solomon says it best. He said, the wicked flee with no one pursuing, but the righteous are bold as a lion. What are you? Who are you? Are you a talker? Are you a doer? Are you an earth mover? Or are you one who sleeps? Who are you? He says it right here in the verse. The wicked flee when no one pursues. You're running when nothing's even chasing you. A lot of you are running from your vision. You're running from what God has instilled in you to be. You're running from your vision. You won't even let your vision pursue you. And you wonder why you are where you are. And you blame it on your daddy. I didn't know my daddy. My daddy was never in my life. Baby, you 50. You're 50. Somebody say, let it go. You're 50 years old, still blaming this on your mama and your daddy. You got 2 degrees now. It ain't got nothing to do with your mama and your daddy no more. This has everything to do with you. Now ask yourself, who am I? I like how Outkast used to sing that song back in the day when me and my wife were having these parties. They from Atlanta, so we always gonna represent ATL back in the day. Who am I? Who are you? Really, and don't give me a name. Your name means nothing. People, I want my name. I'm standing up on your family name don't mean nothing. Who told you that lie? The only name means something is in the book of Revelation. When the Bible declares that when you die, those who go to heaven shall get a new name, Jesus. I want a new name. He say, my new name shall be on a rock that nobody will know my new name but me and God. Nobody knows my new name but me and God. Interesting, coach. We always, my name, I'm standing on my family name. Man, your family name don't have no substance. So what, you a Smith? You know how many Smiths out there? You're a Jones. You know how many Jones out there? I mean, there's a lot of them out there. The only name that means something is the name that you die one time and go to heaven. Because he never said in the Bible, those who will die in the second death will get another name. Who would want it? The one who dies the first death and go to heaven, they shall get a new name that God will give them. He's not going to ask you what you want, because you see how names are going nowadays. Names nowadays are more interesting and more difficult than the SAT. I mean, I don't know why these people getting these names. And the people who naming the kids all these long names, and you got everybody's last name with a Z. You know what I mean? Everybody's first name starting with a Z. And why? When back in the day, everybody was named out of the names of the Bible. And now you can't name somebody. You name somebody out of the Bible whenever you want to, and watch how your child get ridiculed. But that might be a good thing, because it'll show you, is my child a child of courage or a child of cowardness? Yes, my name is John. What you want to do about it? Yeah, my name is Solomon. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I'm Peter, boy. I'll smack you. Because in order for us to have courage, that means we have to have the ability to fight. People think when they get saved that all the posture go away. No. It didn't leave me. It just shifted to another side of me. I can contain it more. But if you let that beast come out, that beast is untamable. I lose my mind. I can't see nothing at that point but darkness. When I've been trying to live in light all this time. They missed that, Sister Bear. They slow, but they worth waiting on. We got to make sure that when we're looking at ourselves every day, we have to ask ourselves, are we cowards? Are we people that live in courage? Are you courageous? Are you doing things in life that cause you to grow, to have strength, to move forward? Are you doing these things here? 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7 says, God didn't give us the spirit of fear. He said, God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but of love, peace, and a sound mind. Listen to this now. Courage. If you don't remember any other scripture today, outside of Revelation 21, 8, and this one right here, remember this scripture here, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. God didn't give you the spirit of fear. So where did it come from? God didn't give you the spirit. You get jealous because somebody else moved past you. Where did you get the fear from? Why you didn't apply for the job? Why you didn't start? Why you didn't go to the bank? Their credit was worse than yours, but they had faith. Case in point, I hate to say this, I'm gonna say it anyway, Andy. Look who the president is. You know how many bankruptcies he got? How many times his business is closed down? Now, yeah, there's a lot of bad things I don't like about him, but one thing I do like about him, he's resilient. He keeps on keeping on and keeping on until keeping on brings something on. Why we don't do that? If we don't get it the first time, we quit. Then yeah, we quit and it makes us become cowards. If it get tough in our lives, we quit and we become cowards. If it start irritating us and it's not happening in a certain time and we can look out there and say, oh, I'm going broke in 2 weeks now. God, you got to fix it. God said, no, I'm going to take you 2 weeks but more than that because that's going to enhance your faith. I'm going to give you something that's going to enhance something that money can't buy. Yeah, I don't want to see it that way. I need it now. And we start saying, why was I diagnosed with this? Woe is me. Why was I the one diagnosed with it? Why did my parents die early? We question God instead of doing what the Bible says, give thanks in everything. For this is not the will, but the perfect will of God. Let me say that again because somebody's slipping. Give thanks in everything that happens in your life. That's somebody with courage because this is the perfect will of God. This is the perfect will of God. When it's happening right now, it's happening for a reason. Obviously, my feet been in quicksand or my feet been in cement, so God got to move me. So God, I'm glad you let this happen here because if this wouldn't have happened here, I would have never got here. And people say, well, how you do that, girl? You're so strong. You move from state to state. Child, I really didn't want to leave here. I had to. He had to give me a big bowl of sick and tired of. Yeah, I got a big bowl of sick and tired of till I couldn't deal with this no more. So I had to vamoose. I had to go. Let me put a nail in this coffin. God hates a coward. God hates a coward in Revelation 21 and 8, but the cowardly and the unbeliever, the murderers and the sexual immoral, sorcerers and idolaters, and all liars, small shall have their place in the lake of fire, which is the second death. Listen, I didn't write that. God did. God said he hates a coward. God wrote that. I didn't write that this morning. God hates a coward. That's what he wrote this morning. I didn't write that. When you think about Moses and the shepherd's staff invading the royal court of Pharaoh. Pharaoh, who had the greatest army ever to be put together or assembled in the Bible. Pharaoh had this army. Now Moses goes out and come back with nothing but a staff. Goes in there before Pharaoh and tells Pharaoh, let my people go. All he had was a staff with him, and he's this whole army, the best army ever in the world. And he tells Pharaoh to his face, let my people go. How many of us had the courage today to go before the devil today and say, let my children go? Or go before the devil today and say, let my finances go. Somebody going today and say, let my mental capacity go. Somebody said, loose my husband right now. Somebody said, loose my wife today. Let my people go. Go by yourself, knowing that you're never alone, because God said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor seed beg bread. I didn't write this. God wrote this, and this ain't one of my most popular sermons, but this is going to be one of the most influential sermons because it helps you today to see and recognize where you are as a Christian or where you are as a human being. I'm not saved yet, but I'm striving for perfection. This is what I need to do. I need to belly up. I need to get myself in order. That's what I need to do at this point in time. David, the sheep boy, he brought a swing and a slingshot and rock to a fight with a giant in Goliath who nobody wanted to fight, Kali. His brothers was out there. He was taking them lunch. He was taking them lunch. And they out there sitting over here on this side, and the Philistines sitting on that side over there, and everybody's afraid, even the captain. David said, "What's wrong, brothers? I brought you some sandwiches from mama. They got a big old giant over there. Hey, we don't want to fight him." But David had already been equipped for what he was walking into. When you're obedient to God and he trained you the way he's trained you, Kali, you'll be walking doing something else, and then God will open up the present he has for you. And you'll look and say, "This is why I went through all the hell I went through. This is why I was in the hospital all that time. This is why they let people count me out. This is why he let my ears hear people talk about me. This is why he let people rebuke me and tell me I was nothing for a day as such, because he is now giving David a stage." David went to give his brother some food. Yeah, he did. He went to give him some sandwiches during the time of war. And they scared, Deacon Dixon, you know the story. And as he goes out there with his brothers, then he hears all this gibbering going on. And he looks and says, "Who making all that noise?" Now, David's a young boy. His brother's older. Who making all that noise over there? And he looks across the field, and he see that giant over there just yakking. Just like your giants yak at you. Just like your bill collectors yak at you. Just like your exes yak at you. How they putting you on Facebook and you looking at Facebook and feeling depressed. They ain't got that many viewers, baby. Don't worry about it. You ought to write in there and say, "Thank you for putting it in there for me. That's right, I left him," or "That's right, he left me for another woman, and I'm glad about it." Since then, right now, I'm back in school. I don't got a promotion on my job. I'm in the choir at my church. So thank you. I want to amen him for putting this in there. Who is this giant in my life that's trying to wreak havoc when God's trying to rectify? I got to look at it now and say, "Okay, David, sitting out there, who making all this noise?" And the giant, "That'd be me." Oh, this giant is huge, man. This giant is like 9 feet tall. He's bigger than anything. He's mammoth. He's bigger than he makes Shaq look little. Huge giant. David said, "I'm not afraid of you." And then he calls him out, and people miss it. He calls him and say, "I'm not afraid of you, you uncircumcised Philistine." David knew from the beginning he could beat him. David knew from the beginning he could beat him, Tammy. He could beat him because he knew that he was uncircumcised. And when you look in the Bible, biblically, and you see that somebody's uncircumcised, that means they didn't have a connection with God. So he knew that because you're not circumcised, you don't have a connection with the God that I serve. And I know the God that I serve is an almighty God who reigns from heaven up above with wisdom, power, and love. My God is an awesome God. So David said, "This thing already in the bag, but I got to go through with it." Somebody say the process. Yeah, you got to go through a process sometime. David said, "I got to go through the process." He said, "I tell you what, I got my sling already. I'm coming for you, Goliath." And then the captain tells David, "You can wear my clothes." You can wear my clothes. David tried the clothes on because he didn't want to be disrespectful. The clothes didn't fit. They were too big. Yeah. David knew that big things come in little packages. He said, "I don't have to." Yeah. I don't care if you don't have a lot of PhDs behind your name, baby. You still something. Yeah, you're the one that's going to be the millionaire. Most millionaires didn't even finish college. I wish I didn't have to say that. You keep going to school. But most millionaires didn't finish college. They was in college, but they didn't finish. Now, they smart people, but they didn't finish. Anyway, David got the uniform. He's too small. I'm going like this. He finds 5 smooth stones, coach. 5 smooth stones. And as he find those 5 smooth spots, he ready to roll. Now he ready to roll. Now here you come on, you uncircumcised Philistine. And I'm sure his brothers out there, David's gone crazy. Because people talk about you when they don't understand you. They talk about you when they don't understand you, because now you brought confusion to their mindset. Ain't no way he can beat him because I can't. Baby, don't ever judge yourself against me, baby. You playing the field. You gonna lose. David gets out there, long story short, the Philistine, he gets up and starts talking all over here. There's a little thing here they sent out here to fight me. David across there, yeah, but you don't see what's in me. And see, that's the problem. When you have courage, people can't see it. You have to show it. They'll see it once you show it. They didn't see it, coach. He gets up here with this thing and he starts slinging it. So this Philistine, 9 feet tall, got the sword and everything. I'm going to slice him in half like bologna. Then take that. Out of the 5 smooth rocks, the Bible say David picks that thing up and one for the Father, one for the Son, one for the Holy Ghost. And by God, that thing came ripping through the air like something you ain't never seen. And as it's through the air, it hits that Philistine giant right in their forehead. And he dies immediately. Can you imagine what it's like? One smooth stone hitting you in the right place at the right time, making you stand still so God can be glorified. And to see a small rock make a big man fall like that, it scared the whole army off. That's what happens when you become courageous and you allow your courage to overcome your cowardness. You have to show action. That's the only way that you're going to move. That's the only way that you're going to be a true Christian. That's the only way that we're going to move both earth and hell. We got to be able to live according to God's rules. We got to be strong and courageous. We got to do those things and call those things which be not as though they were. We can't get denied. Delay is not a deny. You keep moving until they just tell you ain't no more. As long as there's a position open, I'm going to keep coming back every week. If God told you to go, keep going every week. And 2 weeks later, this lady going to go out on medical leave and they're going to get somebody else in there who like you. And then that person right there going to hire you. I'm just telling you what it is. Now, you keep going. Don't quit, because if you quit, you're a coward. You're a coward. You have to keep going. And once you keep going, then your faith is built. Because God is not a God of waste. So every day that you're enduring this is a day that you're gaining in some way, form, or fashion in your life spiritually. Now I believe God. And God will let things be so close where they'll tell you, it's down to 2 people. 2 people. And both of y'all sitting in the office that day like, man, where did she get those shoes from? I'm looking at my shoes and looking at her. She looks the part. And God said, yeah, she look it, but you are the part. I've put in you everything that nobody can take from you. I preordained this day before you were even born. You're right where I want you right now. I knew your courage would supersede the ability to be scared. I knew your courage will allow you to see farther than what your intimidation would allow you to see. I knew that you would hear the voice of the Lord and you will hearken unto my voice. I knew that you would read this word to study to show yourself approved, and that this word will countermount you to where you need to be going. For I am God, and besides me, God says, there is no other like me. I cannot lose. David knocks the Goliath down and kills him. And what people don't realize is that in knocking that giant down, David has opened the gateway to being a king. He has opened the gateway to him becoming what God had already preordained for him to be, a king of Jerusalem. And so he showed from that point on, people said that he was a great fighter, because it didn't stop with the slingshot. He became very skilled with the sword and with the spear, but he had been fighting bears and lions while he was watching the sheep by himself. Let me tell you something about being alone. Sometime when God have you alone, it's with purpose. He has you alone so he can detox you. from all the other stuff that you've learned. Some things you need to unlearn. Some things you have to be cleansed from. And so you're in a situation or you're in a season right now that everything in you feels toxic, that you can't sleep. You feel heavy laden and overburdened. Understand when God got you alone, he's getting ready to detox you. Yeah, he's getting ready to clean you out for what's to come. And that's what was happening with David. He was by himself the whole time with them sheep out there, tending to the sheep. Not only did he feed them, he protected them, Andy. And some things in our life we have to learn not only to feed, but protect. One of those things is your spirit. You have to make sure that you protect your spirit at all costs. Protect your spirit more than you protect your mouth. You make sure your mouth is working so your stomach will get full. Protect your spirit so you can live Christ-like. Yeah, you better start learning how to cover up yourself and make sure that your spirit is where it needs to be so that when God calls on you, you'll be ready. Because what God has for me, it is for me, but I will not allow the characteristic of being a coward to hinder me for what God has, not only for me, but for my family also. Not just my birth family, but my spiritual family. We'll finish this next week. We got something interesting we're going to talk about. To God be the glory, around and replace. Put your hands together. Figured I wouldn't finish that today, but
you just had an experience with champions, and we are so glad that you tuned in today. Let's continue to honor God through our commitment to give. There are 4 ways to give. You can give online via Cash App at $Champions for Christ. Next, you can give online at www.championsforchristim.org. Lastly, you can give during service or on our mobile app available in the Apple and Google Play stores. Please be sure to tune in each and every week to our online broadcast. Encourage others to tune in with you. Remember, we are champions because we are champions for Christ.